The jumpsuit's navigation buttons allow you to turn left and right, look up and down, and move forward in the direction you're currently facing. A lit navigation button means that you can turn or move in that direction. You'll stop walking forward when you reach the next decision point. You can scroll through the items in your possession by clicking the up and down arrow buttons located next to the item list. Clicking the Inspect button between the arrows brings up an information screen on the selected item. To pick something up, click and drag it from the view window down into your inventory and let go. To use an inventory item, click and drag its picture icon into the main view window and drop it on top of the object you want to use it on. Items used by or on your jumpsuit are activated by simply clicking on their pictures. Biochips are program modules that allow the jumpsuit to perform specific tasks. Biochips may be added to the jumpsuit to give it new functions. To activate a biochip, click on its picture in the inventory item icon window. This will bring up a control panel for that biochip. To get information about what a biochip does or how it works, click the Inspect button. The final element of the jumpsuit's interface is the message window. This display will alert you to any situations or dangerous conditions that you need to be aware of. Pay close attention to the information displayed here. It could save your life. For further information on the jumpsuit and its interface, see the Buried in Time instruction manual or access the file's biochip after starting the game.
Earth has been officially admitted into the symbiotry of peaceful beings.
Gratitude that I honor you, Gage Blackwood, with the Paragon Medal for Valorous Service.
Press conference this morning, the government admitted the existence of the Temporal Security Agency, an organization.
Sinclair can be attributed to Agent 5, Gage Blackwood, who single-handedly defeated Sinclair's name.
Quick, there's not much time to explain. They'll be here any second. Yes, I am you. I've come from the future. We've been framed. Now whatever you try to do not interfere with what's about to happen. The suit I'm going to transfer over to you will keep you close, so just stand still and watch. When it's all over, you'll be pulled 10 years forward in the future to my present. From there out, it's all up to you. Oh, and I've hidden more information inside of you. You'll figure out what I mean. Here comes the jumpsuit.
Let's go.
Since you're getting this message, I'm assuming everything went well. Now, before you do anything, you need to understand that the role of the TSA has changed in recent years. In addition to the security unit, there's now another team whose job it is to research history. That's the team I was on. That is, until someone altered history at 4 of my research mission locations. They weren't major changes, just enough to create temporal ripples. When another agent discovered the temporal ripples about a week ago, I was suspended and put on house arrest. Then they discovered some evidence, and by the next day I was already on trial. I had just about given up hope last night when it hit me. I'm being watched, but you can still prove that we're innocent. So I've decided to break house arrest and jump back in time to get your help. Right now, I'm probably in jail. If they know where I am, they won't be looking for me. You'll be free to jump to any of my research mission locations to see what's going on. Now pay attention. This is important. Go to each of the 4 time zones and gather as many clues as you can find. Try and discover what's been changed and how. I've programmed the jumpsuit to auto-record any evidence you might find. Oh, and one more thing. I don't know if this has anything to do with what's going on, but I was at the TSA a couple weeks ago doing an unscheduled check of the security grid. I noticed something was wrong. It seems a couple of the feedback jumpers had gotten crossed. A good portion of the security grid was compromised for I don't know how long. Anyone with the right information could have gotten into or out of the TSA, the Pegasus warehouse, or any of the restricted areas without even being seen. I'm still not sure why I'm being set up, but I think this might have something to do with it. Be careful. Our life is on the line.
The soon-to-be-released Geno, A Fond Remembrance, is Volume 4 of G-Tech's Rock Through the Ages collection. Never before has there been a video collection that captures the many moods of Geno Andrews. You'll hear the melancholy Geno.
So many songs about the rain.
The rebellious Geno.
Selling yourself, set a price to pay. When you're selling yourself, make it somewhere.
Yeah, it's the carefree Geno.
It's been my dream to be a traveler of sorts, to visit all kinds.
And of course, the lovesick Geno.
A song for her is all she wants from me.
All of his chart-topping videos are here, brought back from the archives of the past and completely remastered in stunning 4D sound. In fact, Geno, A Fond Remembrance is the most complete collection of Geno's hits ever compiled on one EC. Call our toll-free ShopNet line now and receive a free sample from the upcoming EC that's bound to be an instant classic. Geno, A Fond Remembrance.
The ongoing saga of Gage Blackwood took a frightening twist this morning when the agent of the Deep Time Unit broke house arrest to jump 9 years back in time. Fortunately, the illicit time jump was detected and he was immediately apprehended by Agent 8 of the Temporal Protectorate. Although it's still not clear how and why Blackwood obtained the TSA jumpsuit, Temporal Security Agency officials did say that no distortion ripples have yet been detected, and that there is no reason whatsoever to believe that Blackwood has altered history in any way. Our Lisa Long has a report from TSA Administrative Headquarters.
In a strange turn of events that can only be described as unimaginable, the highly decorated Gage Blackwood, better known as Agent 5 of the Deep Time Unit, has been arrested and put on trial for the crime of historical sabotage. We apologize for the lack of trial footage, but because of the sensitive nature of the material being presented, no recording equipment has been allowed into the tribunal wing of the United Ministry Complex where the trial is being held. The drama unfolded 3 weeks ago when Agent 2 of the Temporal Protectorate discovered 4 distortion ripples while conducting an unscheduled historical scan. As it turned out, the dates of the ripples exactly coincided with times to which Agent 5 had been sent for research purposes. The agent immediately contacted his supervisors, and on their orders, 3 agents were sent to apprehend Agent 5, who offered no resistance. Later that day, more evidence was found in Blackwood's locker, suggesting that he had disobeyed Temporal Security Agency directives for personal gain. Unless deemed absolutely necessary, the TSA will not send agents to investigate or restore the distortions, as any further tampering with history may cause adverse effects, possibly even turning the ripples into full reality distortion waves.
INN will return after a word from our sponsor.
La peinture fraîche. Jote Latvande. Sasta Gorsht.
If you hadn't understood those important messages, you would have just
Wet paint.
screwed up your best suit,
The Flippity Van Vet.
driven off of a cliff,
Cheap meat.
been poisoned,
Restaurants located in the lobby.
and peed your pants on a foreign planet. Yes, for all those reasons and more, there's the Omniglot DM dual-mode translator biochip from Samco. Just pop the Omniglot DM into any standard biotech interface and voila! No more frustration, no more confusion. The Omniglot DM instantly translates the written and spoken forms of any known language. It does it all! The Omniglot DM translator biochip from Samco. Get it today!
Samco Translator Biochip available at Frugal's and other fine stores for a low price of $199.90 or order over ShopNet. Product order code 689-22378. 689-22378. Order now.
The heads of ministry will continue to meet with symbiotry representatives today in the Assembly Hall of the United Ministry Complex. These talks were requested by several member races as a forum in which to discuss the place of time travel technology in the symbiotry of peaceful beings. Today marks the beginning of the 3rd week of negotiations, yet there is still no end in sight. Sarah Michaels is standing by at the United Ministry Complex with a report.
Thank you, Mark. The main factor protracting the discussions is the inability of the symbiotry to decide what should be done with the technology. The representatives have formed 3 distinct factions whose strongly opposing views have caused them to remain tenaciously entrenched in a deadlock. While one group believes we are committing the unforgivable act of hoarding a vital technology, a second supports the symbiotry tenet that each race has sovereignty over its own technologies. The third contingent, which has grown in strength since the arrest of Agent 5, contends that time travel represents a threat to every race of the symbiotry and should be destroyed altogether. Even though most attending races strongly disagree with humanity's sole ownership of the technology, our heads of ministry refuse to acknowledge their arguments, citing its inevitable misuse as their foremost concern. Therefore, barring symbiotry action, it is unlikely that the status of time travel as a proprietary technology of Earth will change.
INN will return after a word from our sponsor.
In a last-ditch effort to stay afloat, the Louvre Art Museum held an auction of unprecedented scale yesterday. The museum was forced to sell off many of its older collections to pay off creditors and to raise funds desperately needed for renovations to the facility. In a fervent display of support, the art community rallied around the historic landmark, showing that the museum itself is every bit as valuable an artifact as any of the works of art it contains. The auction was an astounding success, raising 138.5 billion credits, easily surpassing the 100 billion credit goal. This windfall was due in large part to one generous bidder who preferred to remain unidentified. Martin Walker is standing by with a live report from the Louvre.
Thanks, Mark. I'm standing inside the historic Louvre Museum in Paris. Behind me sits one of the few pieces to survive yesterday's extensive art auction. Items up for auction included artifacts and works of art from many of the Louvre's oldest collections, including the Da Vinci exhibit, the ancient Egyptian, and Toltec Mayan exhibits. 4 particular items were snapped up by a generous bidder who paid much more than the asking price. The bidder's identity is unknown, but it is assumed to be an art enthusiast who didn't want to see the Louvre shut down. There are rumors, however, that the buyer may actually have been acting on behalf of another race in the symbiotry, which, according to the Earth History Preservation Act of 2322, would be illegal. We're told an investigation may follow. Museum sources that I spoke to speculated that the revenue from the auction will be enough to keep the Louvre in operation for at least the next 5 years. However, they warned me that the price of admission may go up in order to help cover operating costs. A small price to pay for such a wealth of human history and culture.
The events surrounding the arrest of Agent 5 bring back, for most, memories of the Elliot Sinclair incident. That historic day 10 years ago could have turned out much differently if it weren't for Agent 5 of the Temporal Protectorate. After building the first ever functional time machine, only to have the government shelve the project because it was considered too dangerous, Sinclair decided to sidestep the politicians and build his own temporal transporter. Years later, when the Sorolans made contact with Earth to offer us a place in the symbiotry of peaceful beings, the xenophobic scientist suddenly found himself with a new purpose. Fearing an alien invasion, he tried to convince the public that the Sorolans were not what they appeared to be. But this endeavor met with little success. Frustrated, exasperated, and on the verge of insanity, Sinclair formulated a plan to make Earth a more difficult target for the Sorolans. On the day of the Sorolan ambassador's arrival, he sent each of his 3 robot minions back in time to change the course of history. The first he sent to create a nuclear scare that would prevent world unification and prolong the Cold War. The second was to destroy the Morimoto Mars colony and make it look like the work of an alien race. And the third Sinclair sent to kill Dr. Enrique Castillo, the individual who was most influential in convincing humanity of the benefits of joining the symbiotry. His backup plan, should his robots have failed, was to assassinate the Sorolan delegates. It was our good fortune that Agent 5 was on duty at the Temporal Security Annex that day. He detected the temporal distortions, stopped each of the androids, and then apprehended Sinclair himself. That fateful morning made a hero of Agent 5 and spawned the blockbuster holoflick, The Journeyman Project. Elliot Sinclair was put on trial and found guilty of all charges. He was sentenced to life imprisonment on Vega Thalon and hasn't been heard from since.
That always seemed to work in Scooby-Doo.
So, I guess I haven't gotten rid of you after all. You just pop up in different spots, like whatever pops up in different spots. So, is corrupting my work not enough? Back to finish the job? What? Breaths here, and I get visited by Guido, the space vamp. Come all this way to tamper with my sculptures. What are you, an art critic? You seem different somehow. Unlike before, your patterns, you're more curious, like you don't really know what you're doing here, do you? You're not the same intruder. So, why are you here? Are you looking for something? Me? Feel this, but I guess I have an instinct about you. My other guest didn't feel right. You're different somehow. Like I should trust you. Excuse the scanner. My eyes and ears for the moment. Most of the station monitors are dead. Here. Well, here you are. You found me. Well, part of me, anyway. Not much to look at, I know, but it's what's inside that counts. Well, I guess I've decided to trust you. It's not like I have many options. I don't know, maybe we can help each other out. Why don't you move into the room so we can talk better? I'm afraid this conversation is going to be a little one-sided. My command-level voice recognition module got a little jumbled in the accident. Well, I'm Arthur. You've probably figured out by now that I'm not real. But I'm learning to accept it, really. I split off a few copies of myself, and together we're sharing our feelings about it in group. Anyway, this is what I am. An artificial, non-organic sentient being, if you want to be politically correct, trapped in this wreck with the power dying out a little quickly, I'm afraid. I've yet to figure out who you are, though. I think I can safely rule out the fire department. I thought I was pretty advanced, but the technology I'm reading in your suit is astounding. And this is crazy, but it almost seems like an evolution of mine. Look, if you'll let me, I should be able to interface with your logic system and maybe get a clue as to who you are and how we can help each other. It means an intrusive scan, but we're both lost here, and I need you to trust me. What do you say? see what we've got. Temporal security? You're from the future. Well, I'm pleased to meet you, Gage. Wow, you're quite the hero. I guess this is my lucky day. But that's you. I don't get it. Whoa, I'm starting to get a headache here. This plot's getting a little hard to follow. I'm starting to get the picture here. Hey, this is about me. This is better than palm reading. Perished? Then you can't help me or you'll change history. I'm sorry. I've probably seen more than I should. I should have never scanned your biochips. Wait a second. Your biochips. Gage, I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse. Take me with you. Your biochips are derived from the same wetware as my brain, only 1,000 times more advanced. If you take me with you, it'll cause a time distortion or whatever, but if I download a copy of myself onto a blank chip, nothing will have changed. And you need me. I know who framed you, the same person who messed with my sculpture. I can show you what they changed. What do you think? Is it a deal? Great! Oh, you're not gonna regret this, Gage. Now let's see. I should be able to transfer the data across optically from my core. This is gonna work. That means we've got to get you inside the Nexus, which of course is inconveniently detached from the station at the moment. How do we do this? The door release. The decompression should propel you across to the Nexus. I'll have to give you the override code. It's risky, but it's doable. The emergency release is just above the door. It's a manual release, so I can't do it for you. Okay, punch in this code, 32770. The rest is up to you. Good luck.
Emergency door release initiated. Please stand by.
To my brain. All that I am is contained in that sphere. You're gonna have to open me up. There's a manual code book. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I think it has to do with exchanging the red lights for green and vice versa. You'll have to figure it out. After that, well, if it works, the next time I talk to you should be from inside your suit.
To anyone who may be listening, my name is Dr. Kenneth Farnstein. I've made this recording in the event that anything should happen to me. This message is an appeal. 26 years ago, I undertook an experiment to create a new kind of artificial intelligence. A system demonstrating the traits of self-awareness and creativity. My results have been astonishing. At first, I considered the experiment a failure. I had created an erratic, unpredictable, thoroughly irrational program, but it had a curiosity, you see. and occasionally, a burst of insight so lucid I was astonished at the understanding. Not the cold conclusions of a machine, but something more right-brained, more intuitive. It was life. It was a result I was unprepared for. Arthur is not simply a program, he is a person. And I have sheltered him here from the circus I would make of him. I'm afraid I may have corrupted him enough with my obsession for 20th century media. I ask that you understand, and if you can find it in yourself to protect him for a while. He means a great deal to me.
Not exactly flattering. In less than 100 years of progress, you can fit me on a chip. So, how do you like my new home? Comfy little interface, eh? So, this is how I think I can help you out. I couldn't figure out a way for you to ask me questions directly, but I've created a comment button that'll light up if I have something to offer. I've actually become pretty fascinated with art history and stuff, and by the looks of what your future self was researching, what I've studied could come in handy. I've also created a help button in case you get stuck on a problem. You know, they always say, 2 minds are better than 1. But hey, you're the detective. I'm sure you'll want to figure it out on your own before resorting to my help. There's more info in the chip's inventory description. You might want to check that out. As to our mutual friend, he was reprogramming one of my sculptures in the biomass processing module. I think he set up some sort of harmonics response, but the only way to find out for sure is to visit the scene of the crime. And that means getting to that part of the station. I gather you don't have control over where you jump to in a time zone, so it may be a trek. The accident really trashed that part of the station. In fact, we may want to come back to it later. Alright, so maybe it won't make much difference when we get to it, but to be totally honest, I'd much rather go somewhere other than back to the station my first trip out of here. You know what I mean? I could use a little adventure. Alright, Gage and Arthur's Big Adventure. I like the sound